Hello friends, it's Alexis and welcome to Winterween Part 2. I just finished up my first book for Winterween, Bat Eater and Other Names for Cora Zhang by Kylie Lee Baker in my first Winterween vlog, so I will have that linked below in case you missed it. So I decided to just start my second vlog right away. It is the night of day 3 of Winterween, Sunday, January 11th. It is currently about to hit midnight, so I am getting ready for bed, but before I do, I wanted to give you an update because I have started our second book. This is my book to read in the dark or at night, so already checking that prompt off, and I have listened to the first 3 stories while working on crocheting a little bit. This, of course, is The Dangers of Smoking in Bed by Mariana Enriquez, one of my new favorite horror authors. Everything I read from her hits, so I was very excited when I picked this one up, and I knew that I had to read it for Winterween because readathons are such a good time for short story collections. Like I already said, I finished the first 3 stories, so I thought I would come through and give you my initial thoughts. The first story was called Angelita Unearthed, and this one was about a ghost baby, essentially. It's kind of funny that I just finished Bat Eater because it reminded me a lot of that story, just having to do with a ghost with unfinished business coming back to try and get things righted. So I did enjoy that one. Something about this author's writing is there's always something that's a little bit odd. Like, she writes really good horror, but also really weird horror. So I think I would give that one 4 stars. Next up was a story called Our Lady of the Quarry, and I think I enjoyed that one less just because I didn't love the way the narrator in that one was talking about this other girl in the story. It was very hateful towards her, very body shaming because they were jealous of the attention this girl was getting from a boy they liked. I did, however, enjoy that it was sort of narrated by a group of people. We never knew our narrator's name, but every time they spoke, they would say like, we did this, we wanted this, we thought this. So it was kind of like this hive mind of teenage girls, and I thought that was really cool and added to the creepiness of the story. And yeah, this one was definitely slower burn than the first one about the ghost baby. It is about this group of friends spending the summer together, and they start swimming at this quarry. And the ending of this one was pretty creepy, so I think I'm gonna go with 3 stars. And then last up, the one I just finished was called The Cart, and that's another one that reminded me a lot of another work, actually a story I read in this author's other short story collection I read last year called A Sunny Place for Shady People. I can't remember the name of the specific short story, but in both of them there is a neighborhood that ends up getting sort of cursed because of the way they treat somebody that needs help. And I'm going to leave it at that. It was another one that I enjoyed, but it just wasn't as strong as her other stuff. I think I'm going to go with a 3-star rating. And I was thinking it felt very, very short. It was only 10 pages, so that makes sense. I think had it been longer, had the story been more fleshed out, it would have been better, had a higher rating, but I liked it. It definitely had some creepy details in there. I am done with this for right now. I'm gonna go get into bed, and I think what I'm going to start is, let me grab it, Interview with the Vampire by Anne Rice, the classic. It felt very fitting because this year's Winterween is kind of vampire themed, so yeah, we're gonna give this one a go. I've seen the movie many times before, but never read the book, so we will see which one I end up preferring. I'm kind of expecting the book because I've heard so many people really love this. So I have to let these dogs out now. Paul, you want to go outside? Yep. But I will check in with you tomorrow with my next reading update.
Perfect.
Have a little check-in before I start my day because I just signed into work and I was looking at my calendar and I am booked solid. Basically from 11 to 3, I'm going to be in back-to-back meetings, so not ideal for reading or talking to you guys. So let's get our update out of the way and then hopefully something gets canceled or ends early so I can get some audiobook listening time in. I did end up starting our next book last night and I got 28 pages in. Wow, I thought I was a little bit further actually. But yeah, I'm enjoying it. I wish I would have been able to stay up later and read more, but I was just really tired. So this is definitely going to be a big goal for today. I'm liking it so far. It's a lot like from what I remember the movie. So we start out and we are in this room in, I think, New Orleans, and we have a journalist and the vampire. And the vampire is talking about their life story. So far at the point I'm at, he has just turned into a vampire. So we were getting a little bit of his family history, early life before the transition, and then his meeting Lestat, the man that turned him into a vampire. So far, I'm actually enjoying it more than I thought I would. I thought already knowing the story, I'd be a little bit bored, but the way this is told is so intriguing. And it really kept my attention, and like I reluctantly closed this book last night. I really wanted to keep reading, keep ingesting this story, but like my eyes would not stay open anymore. There was a part that I dog-eared. Let's see, why did I think this was important? Oh yeah, now I remember. So we're already kind of setting up the difference between our main character and Lestat and their views on, oh, my bookmark, and their views on humanity and morality and that kind of stuff. Lestat definitely views humans as a food source and nothing else, and our main character views them as humans, as real people with feelings and emotions and all that stuff. So during our main character's very first kill, Lestat is like laughing at him and like his reaction to it. Lestat was laughing, telling me callously that I would feel so different once I was a vampire that I would laugh too. He was wrong about that. I never laugh at death, no matter how often and regularly I am the cause of it. And just like knowing what I know, it's a little bit of foreshadowing because we know that Lestat is a little bit of a villain later on. Oh, and then like even the main character says this. It says, knowing Lestat as I do now, I would say he would have killed me rather than let me go. But this was what I wanted, you see. It didn't matter. No, this is what I thought I wanted. So just talking about like being turned into a vampire, this is what he thought he wanted. And like Lestat would have just killed him if he didn't agree to the change. So super excited to keep going with this after work. I do have a little bit of a busy evening. It's Monday, so that means it is my gym, grocery, and other errand running day, which actually means it'll be a big audiobook listening night. So that brings us to our next one. I haven't listened to any more of this since I talked to you last night, but this will be a big focus while I am running around, and then hopefully between meetings, we will see. But I have a meeting starting in literally 1 minute, so I'm going to get going and I will hopefully talk to you soon. Groceries and gym done. Rewarding myself with a veggie burger from Burger King. All right, dinner has been consumed and we have to talk about the next 3 stories in this book. So I did get a lot of listening done at the grocery store. I don't usually bring my headphones because usually me and Dan talk while we're shopping, but he had to go return some cans while I did the shopping. It was kind of nice just to like be able to be in my own little world listening to my book, and I got through 3 more stories. Okay, so I enjoyed these more than the last 3 we talked about, but still not by much, and actually one of them was 1 star. So let's start with Where Are You, Dear Heart? This one was so weird. This one I gave 3.5 stars. So it is about a woman who has a fetish for irregular heartbeats. I don't really know how to describe it, but she basically realizes that she is attracted to sickness, and she's able to narrow it down and realize specifically illnesses having to do with the heart. So she ends up on this online forum for people with similar interests as her, and she meets a man with a heart arrhythmia, and that's where I'm gonna leave that. It got so weird, but honestly, after the last 3 stories and really not enjoying them, it was like a welcome change. It wasn't great, but it kind of shocked me, and like, you know, at least it made me feel something. Oh my gosh. After that, we had a story called Meat. God, it was so weird. That one was so weird. That one I gave 3 stars. This one is about a lead singer of a band with a cult following. And yeah, the less details you know going into these, the better. I like the shock value, the like not knowing what to expect and then just being totally surprised when like we get to it. So that one was, again, not my favorite, but better than some of the other ones we've read so far. Solid 3 stars. It's just kind of hard to rate something higher when it is this length. You're not really getting a big story. So like that one was only 8 pages, you know, like it's not really a lot of time to get to know the characters. It's just kind of like surface level, creepy, unsettling story. And then that brings us to No Birthdays or Baptisms. So definitely my least favorite of the collection so far. I gave this one 1 star. I really didn't like the content in this. Okay, so we start out and we meet these 2 people. Our narrator is this young woman, and she ends up meeting a man online, and they're talking, and they are both interested in films and stuff. And the man's job is actually to film random things for people willing to pay him. And of course, he has a super sketchy, creepy customer that wants videos of young girls playing on playgrounds and in their swim classes and stuff. And like, it was super specific. He wanted young girls between like 5 and 10 or something, like recordings of them and like close-ups of their bodies. And it gave me the ick big time reading about that. I think that's probably the author's point, was to leave you feeling unsettled, but I just really didn't like the way that was handled. It not a fan. And that's not even like what the story was about. It really morphed into something else, like a different customer this man making the videos had, and it didn't get much better from there. It also involved filming an underage woman. Not a fan of that one. I'm not really sure what it was trying to say besides leaving me with the feeling that my skin is crawling. So if that was her goal, I guess she accomplished it. So that leaves us with 3, if I counted right. Yep. 3 stories left in the collection, and that's my plan right now. I just feel like laying in bed and listening to my audiobook. I have some crocheting I can work on, and I have a little bit to wait until I can let the dogs out for the night. So until then, I'm going to just try and finish this. It snowed quite a bit. I was chasing the birds. You having fun? You like the snow? Hello again. Long time no talk. It is now the next night since we last spoke, and it is already 7:30 because I did nothing exciting today except for work. So we're going to change that now, and we are going to talk about books, and then I'm going to read. So where we left off last night, I was trying to finish The Dangers of Smoking in Bed by Mariana Enriquez, and I am very happy to say that I did it. I finished this. So we have 3 more stories to talk through. Okay, so the next one we have is Kids Who Come Back, which was probably my favorite of the collection, but it still wasn't 5 stars because because of some issues I had with it. This one was following this journalist, and she was focusing on all of these child disappearance cases, like kidnappings, they presumed. All of these young kids went missing. There were really no leads. They thought maybe they were being sold into like human trafficking, when all of the kids reappear one day in these, I think there were 4 public parks where just these children were popping up, except the kids were not the original kids that went missing. It was a really, really cool, interesting premise. This idea that these children went missing and what came back wasn't exactly the same child. I thought that was really, really cool. My problem with this one is the investigator had this obsession with this one young girl that went missing. She was 14 and she just kept describing her as like the most beautiful girl. A lot of the kids that went missing, their pictures were really ugly, she said, and this was the first one where the kid like stuck out to her, and like literally you're talking about a 14-year-old child. So it's another story in this collection really sexualizing this young girl and villainizing her for being a sex worker at 14 as if it was this child's choice. So for obvious reasons, I could not give it 5 stars, but it was my favorite story for the other aspects of it. I thought the premise was the most interesting. It's one where I could see myself reading a full novel, like really trying to understand what happened and why and what this all means. Next up, we had the title story, The Dangers of Smoking in Bed. Why was that a story? Why is that the title story? Like, that was the most pointless shit I have ever read. I wouldn't even call it a horror story. It didn't make any sense, and I'm honestly mad about it. And then last up, we had Back When We Talk to the Dead, and this is getting 4 stars from me. This is another one that was like the highlight of the short story collection. This one was about a group of teenage friends that play with a Ouija board, and I found it genuinely creepy. It was also kind of fun and lighthearted because it was these teenage girls playing, so it didn't feel like it had the biggest stakes until something happens and then like shit gets real. And it was told in such a realistic way that I could even see this like being a true story, like one of those urban legends that your older cousins tell you to scare you, but like you kind of believe them. It was probably the story where I had the most fun, but unfortunately it was not enough to save the rating, because I bet you can tell from all of the low ratings, I did not really enjoy this one. I'm super disappointed because I've really loved everything else I've ever read from her. But this one was a dud. When it comes to short story collections, I always rate the stories individually and then I take the average of them all. So taking the average, this comes to a 2.7 star rating. I'm going to round it down to 2.5 because I only do half or whole stars and it doesn't feel strong enough to be a 3 star. Not saying it's the worst thing I've ever read, but I would definitely recommend picking up anything else by Mariana Enriquez first, because even as a huge fan of this author, I did not like this one. Happy to be done with that, and that means we can shift our focus completely to Interview with the Vampire. I read a little bit more than where my bookmark is because I ended up getting the audiobook this morning, so I believe I'm about 15% of the way through. The thing that annoys me about this, I didn't realize there weren't chapters. There are just parts, I believe. Yeah, there's 4 parts, but there's no chapter breaks. And I am somebody who does not like reading like in the middle of a chapter. I find it really hard to like come back in and find my spot. So not loving that. Maybe the audiobook will help me. I'm still enjoying the story, but I definitely had a section I was listening to earlier that was pretty icky. So we're still in the beginning of this one. We are still going through Louis's like early life, like his fresh vampire life. And he is talking about how he, at that time, was a plantation owner and had enslaved people living on his property. And I did not like the way this man was talking about those people. I mean, I don't know what else I expected from a plantation owner, but yeah, it's about as bad as you can expect. So besides that, not much else has happened since we spoke last night. So this is going to be my focus for the day. I would like to get to the 50% mark because we need to get moving. There is only 2 days left. Yep, 2 days left of Winterween, and we have another book to finish. So my plan for right now is to listen to the audiobook and clean the house. Super fun. But I have really been neglecting things since work has been so busy, and I have just been so drained afterwards. Dan has been incredible. This guy does everything for me. He always washes all of the dishes. He did the garbage for me yesterday, but there are definitely some things that I need to help out with. There's a ton of laundry I could fold. There's just generally clutter on things that I just want to get control of so my brain feels better. So yeah, I think that sounds like a fun evening, getting my life in order before I have to sign back into work tomorrow morning. I did it. I just made it to the 50% mark. Well, technically the 47% mark of the audiobook, but I have just hit part 2, try not to lose my bookmark. So it's a good time to come in and talk to you because some things have happened. Backing up to the last time we talked, to be honest, I was getting a little bored with this. I don't find Louis to be the most interesting, so I was kind of waiting for this thing to happen, and thankfully it does very quickly. In part 1, we meet Claudia. Claudia is a child that they end up turning into a vampire to be sort of like their daughter. So maybe it's just me, but literally the entire time reading this, because we're getting Louis' thoughts and we know that he is very unhappy with Lestat, he does not want to stay with him, and he's been very vocal about it, and the only reason Lestat picked him to be a vampire was for his money. He had land, he had an estate, like he has wealth, and Lestat saw that and said, I'm going to latch on to you so I can be rich. And then I feel like Lestat noticed Louis was feeling this way, wanting to get away from him, possibly leave him. And what did Lestat do to try and trap Louis in this vampire marriage? He decided it was time for them to have a child. So I'll keep it spoiler free. I won't go into how they meet Claudia, but they do end up turning this 5-year-old little girl into a vampire. And to me, Claudia has always been the most interesting character. I like book Claudia more than I remember liking movie Claudia. Like just getting to really know her in this and just hearing her thoughts and the way she's really questioning her existence as a vampire. So our 2 adult vampires, they got to be humans for, a part of their life. Like, what are they? Probably in their late 20s, maybe early 30s. So I'm not saying they lived a whole life, but, they at least knew who they were before they got changed. And Claudia doesn't know who she is. She doesn't remember her life before being a vampire. And part of the big problem they have with Lestat is that he won't tell them anything. They don't know if any other vampires exist. They don't know how to create vampires, how to kill vampires. They know nothing. And Lestat is purposely keeping this information from them. That way they feel like they need him. I'm definitely reading this as a metaphor for an abusive, manipulative relationship. Lestat is awful. We end part 1 on quite an action-filled scene. Something really, really big happens, and Louis meets another vampire. Hello, friends, and good morning. Long time no talk. For me, for you, it's been a second. But for me, Winterween has officially ended. It is now Saturday, January 17th. Winterween has come and gone, but I am not ready to admit defeat. I set out to read these 4 books. I'm going to finish these 4 books, whether it counts for the readathon or not. So that brings me to today. It has been quite a few days since we've talked. Again, work ruined my life. This is the year that work ruined Winterween. I knew I should have taken off for this week and just solely focused on Winterween, but also that would have been really, really bad because obviously they needed me at work. So we're just going to make it up the best that we can today, which means we have 2 books to finish. So you would have seen, I think, in the last clip I filmed, I started Hazelthornne by C.G. Drews, and I'm actually already almost done with it. I honestly probably could have finished it last night, but I was tired and I wanted to talk to you before I officially finished it. So I have about 60-ish pages left to go. So that is going to be my first goal today, is to finish this real quick. And then of course we also have Interview with the Vampire, which I don't see around here. I think I left it out in the living room. And I did read another part since we spoke last. I ended up finishing part 2, so I'm officially on part 3 now. So I think right now we'll just get caught up on Hazelthornne and then focus later on the vampire. So Hazelthornne. I'm loving this. Not a surprise. I really enjoyed C.G. Drew's last book, Don't Let the Forest In. This is very, very similar. It has the creepy plant horror, and honestly, the best way to describe a C.G. Drew's book is like a dark fairy tale retelling. That's what it feels like being in this world, like I am in a Grimm Brothers fairy tale. This one also has a lot of elements, and it's reminding me a lot of The Secret Garden, except if the garden was evil and trying to kill the children, because that's what's happening in this one. In this one, we are following our main character named Evander, and he is always lived on the Hazelthornne estate as long as he can remember, and he's been a prisoner there. He is locked inside of his bedroom. He's not allowed to leave, all because of this incident that happened when he was a child. He was in the garden with this other boy named Laurie, and he almost died. So now he is left with this mysterious illness since that incident. He's been very weak. He has to be on medication all the time, and he can't leave his room at risk of having an episode. Along with not being able to leave his room, his guardian's biggest rule for him is that he cannot be near Laurie, because obviously Laurie tried to kill him before. We don't want a repeat of that. Our story starts out and we meet Evander. He has just woken up for the day. He's expecting the butler to come in with his breakfast and his medication when he hears his door unlock, but nobody comes in. This never happens. Evander is always locked into his room for his own safety, according to his guardian. So when he hears his door unlock, he pokes his head out into the hallway to kind of see what's going on. And that's when he hears the very recognizable voice of his one mortal enemy, Laurie, coming from downstairs. So he ends up going down. We have a little bit of a confrontation between the two boys that hate each other, and Evander goes searching for his guardian, only to witness his guardian die in front of him in this super brutal, terrible, gory way that really feels right at home with a dark fairy tale. Like, this is absolutely something I could see happening in a Grimm's Brother story. Since witnessing that, Evander decides to take it upon himself. He is going to find out what the cause of his guardian's death was, why this terrible thing happened before his eyes, and honestly how to prevent it from happening to him too, because he's starting to notice some warning signs. So throughout the story, we have gotten a lot of development into Evander and Laurie's relationship. Hopefully this is not a spoiler to anybody, but this is a gay love story between the two boys, and I am living for it. Oh my gosh, I love their interaction. As soon as they're able to like put their guard down and like admit their feelings for each other, my heart. So the two boys team up. They're trying to solve this murder, and along the way they are uncovering some really, really dark family secrets, and like the drama is so juicy in this one. I cannot believe what this family was getting up to. It's one of those like rich person drama, I hope they get what they deserve kind of story. I am back. Can hear myself now. My granny square is done. Look at hers. My second time ever crocheting one of these. I am taking my goal of learning how to crochet this year very seriously. Every free second, I want to be crocheting, which is great for audiobook listening, because like, what else am I gonna do? So I love her. I originally bought this yarn to like make a blanket out of it, but then I was like, this could be a really cute cardigan. So I've never done either. Like I said, very, very brand new to the crocheting world. But right now I'm just having fun practicing and making my little flower granny squares. So that's done. And I finished the book. A lot of the book struggled. I don't want to say I wasn't enjoying it because I was, but it wasn't giving me the 5-star feelings the way Don't Let the Forest In did from the very beginning. I think maybe I had high expectations going in, and it did live up to those. Like, this is absolutely an incredible book. And even though I didn't have the 5-star feeling until the very end, maybe the entire book wasn't 5 stars for me, I am still going to rate it 5 stars because I feel like this book is objectively an incredible book. The writing is beautiful, stunning, gorgeous. The story was so captivating. Like, I read this in a day and a half. And while it was a little slow, once we kind of got into it, got the reveals of what this family was doing, got our twist at the end, oh my gosh, the ending is 100% deserving of that 5-star rating. So I don't know why I'm trying to justify it to myself. It's because, like, had the ending not gone the way that it did, it probably would have gotten like 4 stars. I absolutely love the way this turned out. I'm having a hard time. I think I might even like it more than Don't Let the Forest In, but they're like really, really closely tied. If you enjoyed this author's last one, I think you're going to love this. So I'm so happy I picked this up. Cannot wait to see what they come out with next because I am really digging this dark fairy tale, eco horror type of thing they're doing. One other tip I have, although I did listen to a lot of this on audio, I would recommend, if you have the physical version, flipping through it because there are really cool pages. Like, some of them are black with white text, and then there are also illustrations of the plants that the characters are talking about. So there's like a field guide they find about the poisonous plants, and then there's like little pictures of them. So here is Ever Ivy. And I just love a book that includes those little elements. That's something I missed out on when reading their first book. There were also illustrations of the monsters, but because I didn't own it physically and I was just listening to the audio, I didn't see them until after. And that's definitely something I wish I had had. It really would have enhanced my reading experience. But okay, that is another book done. So now we have to work on Interview with the Vampire, which I said I was going to update you guys and I forgot. Okay, so I know we talked when I got to part 2 and something really wild had happened. So then getting into part 2, we're really just dealing with the fallout of this event, and we're watching Louis travel around the world at this point. Louis is just really curious about other vampires, so he kind of goes out on a search to see, are there any more like me? Because Lestat his whole life has told him we're the only of our kind, and like he won't give him any other information. And what he ends up encountering is a little concerning for him. People elsewhere are a lot more aware of vampires and how to hunt them. So I feel like Louis was feeling a little bit concerned for his safety, so he ends up returning home just to realize something that we thought had happened didn't actually happen the way we thought it happened. Trying to be vague here, but now part 3 is going to be dealing with the fallout of that. So my plan for right now is to get back to Interview with the Vampire. I did just learn that there is a big winter storm coming my way and I need to go grocery shopping. I am out of almost everything. So normally we go grocery shopping on Mondays, but this Monday is Martin Luther King Jr. Day and I don't go out on holidays. Like, everybody deserves to be home. So I'm not going to go out to a grocery store and like force people to work. With the snow starting, we're just going to go today, which I already hate going grocery shopping on the weekends. It is so busy and I cannot stand being around all those people. But like, at this point, it's either go grocery shopping or starve because the snowstorm is supposed to last a few days into next week and like we're out of everything. So we're just going to suck it up. We're going to go today, but I think that's my only like errands I have to run. So besides that, I'll just be hanging out at home. Sorry, it's a little bit of a boring last day of my Winterween, but you know what? It's good for reading, and that's what we need. A crime has been committed, and this is my floor currently. Because of this one, who is chewing on the squeaker he ripped out of the cabbage. Why would you ruin your favorite toy like that? I'm back, and I finished our final book of Winterween 2026. To be honest, guys, I did not check in very much on this one because it was kind of a chore to get through. I was not enjoying part 3 and 4. Part 4 like didn't exist. It was basically like just the epilogue. Part 3 really dragged. So in theory, I love the plot of this book. I love the story and everything that happens. But like in execution, I just found myself really, really bored. So I think my final rating, I've decided to go with a 3-star, and I don't think at this point I am interested in continuing the series. I don't know, maybe in the future I'll change my mind. Like I mentioned, at least I think I mentioned, this vlog is all over the place, but I am really interested in watching the TV series because I've heard incredible things about it. I don't want it to seem like I hated this book or I thought it was bad. Like 3 stars to me is still a good book. It just isn't a favorite. It wasn't great. It didn't keep my attention the entire time. Maybe I felt a little bored. Maybe I felt a little disconnected from the characters. But overall, I am still happy that I finally read this. I do think if you are a big fan of vampires, you should read this just like as a classic of its time. I can definitely see modern vampire stories taking inspiration from this one. I also had a really fun time reading it in the lens of like an abusive, manipulative relationship, because that's really what Lestat and Louis's relationship was. I'm so happy to be done with this one because that means I have officially completed all of the Winterween prompts. Even if it wasn't in the official Winterween timeframe, I'm still going to count it as a personal win. That is going to be it for this one. Thank you so much for watching. I thought I was just going to get hit with a flying cat. Apparently it is Zoomies time. If you also participated in Winterween, let me know, how did it go for you? How many books did you end up reading? Or if you would just like to leave me an emoji to let me know you were here, let's go with the vampire emoji. As always, friends, I hope you read a good book today, and I will see you soon in my next one. Bye.